Welcome back to another New York Giants video, and today I want to go over the updates for the New York Giants GM and head coach search. You might be wondering, why is there updates for the head coach search when we don't even have a GM in place? Well, I'll get into that a little bit later, but first let's go over the GM finalist. The finalists are Joe Schoen, Ryan Poles, and Adam Peters. Shane and Poles already interviewed the last 2 days, and today is Adam Peters' day, so that's going to be over with today, and that's going to do it for this year's GM search. Hopefully we don't have to do this for another 10-15 years, but we might hear GM a hiring in the next couple of days. Probably it'll definitely get done over the weekend, maybe even tomorrow, Friday. So we'll see what happens with that. I'm not going to go too in depth with the specific GMs because I already did that in my last two videos ago. So be sure to check that out if you really want to know these candidates in depth. But I will let you know that all three of these guys were on my top five list, so that's really a positive thing here. The Giants aren't going to hire or don't have a finalist who's some random person who we have no clue about. These are all respectable guys, all well respected throughout the entire league. So that's great news. I did have Shane. I had him at the top of my list. Then I had Peters, I think, at number 2, and then Ryan Poles was at 4, I think. But lately, Adam Peters is really climbing up on my list. I think Shane and Peters are 1A and 1B. So, but I think for me, Peters is really coming on. He honestly might overtake Shane because of just how well the 49ers are doing in the playoffs right now, how well the players that they've drafted are impacting this team and carry them to victory against the Cowboys. So with that being said, let's get into Dan Quinn. The Tom Paracello came out and tweeted, "The Giants put in a request to interview Cowboys DC Dan Quinn for their head coaching job," source said. At first, this made no sense to me at all because I'm like, we don't have a GM in place. How are we bringing in or requesting candidates for an interview, right? Like, where is this coming from? It's not like the candidates are telling John Mara that you have to bring in this guy. So at first I thought John Mara's doing what he does best, interfering in the entire process, but that's not the case. I hope, and according to what I think that's not the case. I think the finalists, I think they all have a common head coach who is probably Dan Quinn on their list. This doesn't mean that this is a guy who's going to be the favorite to get the job if one of these guys gets the job, the GM job. I think this is just a guy that's respected throughout the entire league, and what he was able to accomplish with the Cowboys this year. That defense was one of the worst. Trayvon Diggs was probably one of the worst corners in the league. He was able to make something out of him. Not saying he's a top, he's the best corner in the league, but all those interceptions don't come out of nowhere after such a bad year. So huge credit to Dan Quinn for that. Their defense was good overall, and a large part of that did have to do with drafting Micah Parsons, but that defense took a huge leap, and that leap cannot be you just can't oversee that because the year before that they were ranked 32nd or 31st, and then this year just jumping to even average would be a huge deal for the Cowboys. So Dan Quinn did a great job there. I'm not saying Dan Quinn's my favorite would be my favorite to get the job. He wouldn't even be top 3, but you have to respect what he's done in the league. With the Falcons, took them to the Super Bowl, fell short to the Patriots. Obviously, we all know what happened there, but I think he wouldn't be a bad hire at all. So I think at the same time, he probably is on the list of the 3 finalists for the GM job. But I think at the same time, John Mara is not dumb. I think he knows that, with the GM process taking long and them doing their due diligence on all the GM possibilities, I think they realize that if they don't get a head start or don't get a start on the head coaching search, I think they might fall behind. So I think just because you want to get all the candidates you can in for an interview, so I think that's what he's trying to do, requesting interview for Dan Quinn, showing him that the Giants maybe have an interest in him, which is a great thing. I think that John Mara did a great job in evaluating the entire situation and actually giving or requesting interview for Dan Quinn, because you just don't want him to walk away after the success he had with the Cowboys. At least get an interview with him, so you don't regret not bringing him in. It's also, Dan Quinn, let's say he does have interest here and, he hasn't heard from the Giants at all. This kind of shows him that the Giants could possibly have an interest. So let's say if he did want to come here or was thinking about it, he would leave his options open. Overall, I think Brian Flores also has some interest with the Giants. There's been rumors with that. There's been a lot of rumors, Brian Flores, maybe Brian Dable, but Dable does have interest in Miami. So because of Tua, he wants to work with him, which is, it wouldn't be the worst thing seeing him go. He is an offensive genius, I guess you could say. Really developing Josh Allen, and the run game has, it has been lacking, but over the end of the year, Devin Singletary and Zach Moss, I think more Devin Singletary, that he's really taken a step forward, and a large part of that can be due to their offensive scheme, or how they did things, adapting to the game. So that's really impressive and intriguing to see. But there is other guys out there. Dan Quinn is one of them. Jim Harbaugh, maybe even Eric Bieniemy if we hire Ryan Poles. Mike McDaniel is a really he's an interesting guy. He doesn't call the plays. That Kyle Shanahan's responsible for that, but I'm pretty sure it is Mike McDaniel's offense. Along with obviously Kyle Shanahan, they probably have a collaborative offense. But I think if he's able to get how much he's gotten out of that offense, and with Jimmy Garoppolo at the helm, I think it's pretty impressive. Jimmy Garoppolo's not, someone who could just chuck it downfield 60, 70 yards, or he's not a guy who's going to take off and run. He's a pretty average quarterback. Not a knock on him, but he is what he is, especially from what he's shown. Definitely better than what most people have been saying, but large part of that, Mike McDaniel, again, him getting the most out of him, utilizing his strengths and trying to minimize his weaknesses. Something that we try to do with Daniel Jones, but that just led to more turnovers, more mistakes, because I think the Giants Jason Garrett, Joe Judge didn't realize what DJ's strengths were and what his weaknesses were. They try to force these short concepts on him, but that's not what DJ does. DJ needs some time to scan the field, make his reads, and that's also something on the offensive line. He can't do that when you don't have even an average offensive line. So I think they just didn't understand his strengths. They try to force him in a different scheme, which was totally against what Joe Judge preached in his press conference. They wanted to make this team is supposed to revolve around the players, and the coaches are supposed to adapt. Hopefully, Mike McDaniel seems like he knows what he's doing. Deebo Samuel really just took off this year. They used him. They used him in the backfield. They used him as a receiver. He even blocked. So that sounds a lot like Kadarius Toney. He's really shifty. So maybe if Mike McDaniel gets hired and Adam Peters gets hired, we could have the Giants offense could really replicate what the 49ers are doing right now, and I think it's working with them. And let's say if DJ doesn't work out, you plug in a different quarterback who's maybe more talented than DJ, then this offense could just go to a different level. With that being said, I think if we do go with Joe Schoen, there has been not rumors, there were just something that's been going around that the Buffalo Bills have scouted Malik Willis, the quarterback out of Liberty, I think 2 times already. So that might be a guy to look out for during the draft. He's not going to go in the first. He could go in the first round, let's say if a team really loves him, but he's not going to go top 10. So we won't be taking him with our 5th or 7th pick. We can trade back and try to do something there. Maybe trade up from the 2nd round, or maybe take him in the 2nd round, or maybe he could drop to the 3rd round. So, he's a guy he has a lot of potential. People have brought up that he doesn't have a supporting cast at liberty. But that's also a situation with the Giants. What supporting cast do we have? We have no weapons at all. We do, but like, you know, they're always injured. At least they haven't been able to stay on the field. We have no offensive line. We have no run game. At least of now, that's all going to change, and we'll see what happens. But let's say if you take a chance on him, he's not a guy that's going to start year one. He's a guy that's going to take a year, maybe a year and a half to develop under someone else. And that might be the perfect situation. For a situation like that is definitely possible with the Giants, especially, you know, if the new GM believes in DJ or believes that he deserves one more chance with a better roster around him. Because, you know, if you bring in an outsider, they're not dumb. They're not going to get emotional. They're not going to be attached to any guys on the team. So they're going to look at everything. They're going to look at, you know, why has this guy failed? Why has this guy not having success? So if they do take everything into consideration, DJ should get another chance, at least 1 year. You know, I'm not saying that if we don't bring back DJ, I'm going to be upset or anything. I'm just saying that I feel, you know, just even for the team, you know, not for DJ, but like if you force a quarterback this year, you're just going to be in the same situation you were when you drafted DJ in 2019. You know, you force a quarterback and you're back at point A. You know, it's not going to work out. You're going to have to let a quarterback that you feel like is going to be generational, not just going to be a little bit better than DJ, who you think is going to be the franchise guy, who's going to elevate this team, who could carry this team if things aren't going well around him. You just don't want to draft another guy who's going to be another DJ, maybe a little bit better, because then at that point, let's say he is better than DJ and he can't carry the team, or because of the team around him sucking, you know, then we're just stuck in mediocrity, you know. So it won't work that way. You're going to either have to fix a team around the quarterback, and that could take some time. And that means DJ could probably be gone, because you don't want to give him another contract when he's not been performing or getting wins. So I think that could happen. Or, you know, we somehow miraculously fix the team this year. DJ has a great season and we extend him. So there's a lot of possibilities, but at the end of the day, we need to fix his quarterback situation. And that starts with hiring the right GM, hiring the right head coach. You know, we can't make the same mistake we did with Pat Shurmur and Dave Gettleman, because what's the point? You know, you're just firing everyone, you know, after 2 seasons, and it's not going to work. You know, you're going to have a rebuild. You're going to have to trust the process. John Mara, you know, he's not at least recently, he hasn't been a patient guy. I'm not knocking him, but this time he has to get it right. There's no exceptions. If he doesn't, there's bigger problems. You know, we haven't been, then I guess we're not evaluating guys the right way, players, coaches, GM candidates. So hopefully we get the right guys in. You know, I would love Adam Peters or Joe Shane. I would love Brian Flores, but at the end of the day, we're going to have to let these guys do their job and trust the process. So that's going to do it for this video. Hopefully you enjoyed. Please give me a like. Please subscribe. Turn on the bell notifications to know when I post. And see you until next time.